All right.
We are live. No Chris this week on the YouTube version of the lap count, which is exciting. No rules. Excited to be doing this again, Mac. It was a success last week.
Yeah, I think we just keep doing this. We've got to hammer these things out to give the people what they want, and give us what we want. We want to talk about track more.
Once again, not everyone wants to read 3,000 words every single week to understand what's going on in the sport of track and field. So we'll do a YouTube version. So this week, the lap count is brought to you by Hoka Postal Nationals. You and 4 teammates, I'm speaking to the high school audience out there. You guys sign up for Hoka Postal Nationals. You go out to your track, you race 2 miles, your coach submits your results to Runner Space, and you see where your team ranks in the nation. And then at the end, assuming you guys win, you get to celebrate by getting a whole bunch of Hoka gear and I think a pizza party or something. And then also we are supported by the Pride 5K. Nikki Hiltz is putting on a 5K in Flagstaff on October 2nd to raise money for LGBTQ plus youth and the Trevor Project. And Mac, you obviously have helped out putting that race on before, so happy to be partnering with them.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun race and a fun project. I think last year we raised something like $30,000. Super successful. This is year 3, so excited to see it grow. There's actually an in-person race in Flagstaff this year, so that's a cool new addition.
Cool. Well, let's kick this thing off. We'll keep it short and sweet. Let everyone know what's happening in the sport of track and field. So first up, Lausanne. We'll never know.
Lausanne, maybe.
Lausanne. So, I spend so much time every week when writing the lap count just diving into stats. And sometimes I go down a rabbit hole of just numbers. And this week, the thing that I really was examining a little is Noah Lyles, because he ran 19.56, what seems like for the millionth time this year. Michael Norman got out super hard and Lyles, held back and just closed super hard. But including the world lead and then the American record that he set this year, he had 11 races under 20 seconds in the 200 this year, which is just an absurd stat. Like, he does not miss. And actually already at this point in his career, and I think Noah's 25 years old, he now has 31 sub 20 second 200 meter times. And
how many did Bolt have throughout his career?
Yes, it's always coming back to Bolt, but Bolt had 34 in his entire career, which, if you think about, Bolt had a long, prosperous career, ran the world record, multiple gold medals at the distance. And Noah I think the difference is that he's so consistently doing it also in rounds. Like he's breaking 20 in prelims at USA's now. And so when you think of like when he's Bolt's age, when he retired in 6-7 years, I mean, he's going to have like 80 if he
It's
keeps
going to
this
be
up.
absolutely incredible. I'm curious if like Arion Knighton's fast 200 time earlier this year was kind of a kick in the butt. You know, I don't, he's so good that, and it sounds kind of cheap to even say that someone like Noah Lyles would need something like that as motivation. He was already world champ and everything, but he's been
Yeah.
so consistently fast, and he's beating a lot of really good people consistently. And it's not like very close is the thing. He's like kind of crushing these fields.
The thing I worry about is that if at some point, if Noah gets that world record, does he get bored of the 200
He's
and
said
just,
publicly he has no interest in the 4. I think that he's one of those guys that would want to go down instead of up. He would be
yeah,
more of a curly type.
that'd be cool. Other, big highlights from the meet, from the very biased American perspective was Alicia Monson, who, she ran well at the world champs, not like exceptionally well. I think that she probably was hoping for a little bit more in that 10K. She finished 13th, but she's showing that she's got some 3K chops. She finished fourth in Poland at the Diamond League there in 8:41, but then came out here in an absolute star-studded field. I mean, really, it was like a who's who. Safan Hassan, who we know is just rounding into better and better shape. Laura Muir, who as like an 8:15 specialist to jump up and still be competitive in a 3K is always incredible. But Munson took it and was like really grinding it down from a long ways out. And I felt like the field didn't even respect or respond the move when it happened. And then she almost ran away with it at the last second. Francine Niansaba, who had been out of Worlds with a stress fracture, seemingly bounced back incredibly well and quick. Was able to dip her at the line. And if you remember the last couple of years, Francine's really excelled in the 3,000 and the 2 mile. So the fact that Alicia almost beat her, obviously exciting, but also just missed the American record by a second.
I think one of my takeaways from Monson's sort of world's performance and most of kind of OAC's performances at Worlds, I think Dathan missed it by 2 weeks. I think he missed I think you can see it throughout the whole, the whole team didn't perform that well. I mean, this is all relative, of course, but like that makes me so excited for how that entire team is going to do next year. I think that Dathan's going to make an adjustment, and you're going to see these types of performances because these are the same people that were in the 5K or 10K final, the same exact people, just a few weeks later.
Yeah.
And I would say Monson had these performances before Worlds and after Worlds, and you could say that about, Klecker and, some of the others. I think that they're going to crush it next year, and I just think that that sort of window that they seemed a bit flat is going to not be there next year.
My complete speculation is that it could have something to do with the timing of altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are able to jump down for a race here and there throughout the year, then all of a sudden you go to the World Championships and you're there for a more extended period of time. And I know the timing can be complicated, and so that's my foil hat. I bet they're in St. Moritz right now, and so jumping over to Diamond League in Switzerland quite easy. But and then moving on, someone who probably wishes Jake Whiteman was in the race was Jakob in that 1500. Yes. I mean, I think he's better at the 5K now. This is my personal belief, and I think that at some point he's going to run an incredibly fast 5K. But I know he loves the 1500, and he made a little bit of a statement taking back that world lead, and he doesn't normally celebrate that much after race. I mean, you see him kind of make like these stoic celebrations, but they're not really true emotion. He's kind of taunting and having fun. Afterwards, he genuinely seemed pumped with this performance.
I think he's like enjoying the season a little bit more as he's getting closer to the end. or that the championship races are over. Maybe he's like kind of relaxed a little bit. I thought that this race was going to go a little bit faster, deeper. I made that prediction that like 8th place was going to be like a 3:31, type of thing.
Guys are tired.
I know, and I think guys are starting to get tired. This is interesting how the 15 is now run for the men, because it's changed over the last 3 years. That I mean, I don't know if these guys can run this fast for the 15 big races that they're going to do all year, because they're running under 3:30 in May, some of these guys. And so
Yeah.
just doing that all the way to the end of August into September is just an insane ask of all of these athletes.
Someone that I was excited to see run well was Kipsang. Abel Kipsang ran 3:31 in Nairobi during the spring, at altitude. And it was just, what if he can run 3:31 at altitude, then what is he going to be doing the rest of the year? And he did fine. Like, it's not like he had a terrible, terrible year, but ultimately was not a factor at Worlds. And now immediately bouncing back, beating a lot of the guys that were beating him earlier in the season.
Yeah. I would say Stewie, like he's coming on strong as the season gets further and further along. He had a bout with like long COVID that I think struggled with for quite a long time. Josh Kerr, better racing of late. And honestly, I like seeing our guy, Timmy C. Chariot. Like he's looking better and better as the season's going along as well. There are so many people in the men's 15 that are just running consistently well. Like there's not a lot of off races, and it's not, I don't like looking at times. I like looking at who's beating who and performing towards like trending towards the top half of the race. There's a lot of guys that are just finding themselves always up there in these really deep fields, and it's just going to get more exciting to me as a fan now, as we get into this world champs in Budapest and then Paris.
Yeah, I mean, being able to show up consistently in the 1500 is hard. It's one thing to just pop it one time. It's another week in, week out, Diamond League after Diamond League and global champs to always be running under 3:30.
Right. All right. What do we got next?
Let's talk about UTMB.
Man, I think we got to go next year. We got to find a way to get paid to go next year.
Someone needs to put us on a plane and we got to go. I stopped actually in on my honeymoon. We were in Switzerland and we drove across the border. They just let you right in and got lunch in town and then came back. But so, all right, I'm going to admit up front, and I got a lot of reader emails after this, like thanking me for covering the trails and talking about it. And they thought, we need more of that. I don't know that much about trails. Like I'm learning and I know how to read what happened and spit it out. I'm getting into it as we're doing the lap count, but really because, our editor, Paul Snyder, is more into the trail scene than I am. So he's the wealth of knowledge in-house, and the whole thing. So it's a spectacle. Like if we're going to look at the results real quick, Americans obviously very familiar with Jim Walmsley, and he's moved into Europe rather than being in Flagstaff because like you have to win this race. It's the crown jewel. But Kilian Jornet, who has the most Instagram followers, that is not a Kardashian, is now a 4-time champion. Like this is his backyard. Like he knows this course super well and has obviously demonstrated that he can run well at it. He glides on top of mountains. And Walmsley goes out hard, has a huge lead. It's treacherous. It's crazy. He ends up finishing 4th and Kilian pulls through on the men's side. And then before, we go big picture again, the American on the women's side, Katie Scheid, a Maine native who now, lives and trains in France. She pulls out the victory. And for some reason, it seems like the American women are a little bit better at this race than the men. We've had multiple female winners from the U.S. at this point. I don't know what that says about the male ultra community. We got to get on our women's level here. But it's such a spectacle of the sport, and it's amazing how much coverage it seems like it keeps getting every year versus the previous. Like, it is a huge brand moment for shoe companies at this point.
Hmm. I think that this probably has to be almost circled as like the must go to event for a lot of these shoe companies. Even over, I mean, look at this versus Worlds. This
You
is a
didn't have that photographers, yeah.
no, there weren't this many. I don't think that there were. I don't know. I don't know if there was that many people in Eugene. Um, this race is huge. I've never been there, and I'm not gonna lie, I haven't paid much attention to it. But Justin Britton was there sending us photos. A photographer with CITIUS Mag, and he was just there as a fan. I think he was shooting as well for work. And how rabid these fans are, how many people actually run the event, how many companies are there. You can see the finish line photos. There's an entire like courtyard behind these people that is packed. Um, we have to go. I have to go. Like I don't know who any of the ultra runners are, even the Americans. I'm sorry. I apologize. But we have Americans that are good, and I can root for my hometown Americans any day of the week. So I think we need to go there. I think I need to be a fan. I think I need to experience it in person. But I think that there's so many things that we complain about on Twitter. It's like, what do we need in track and field? What do we need in track and field? We need to do this. We need to do that. It's right here. This is it. It's trail
Yeah,
running. It's UTMB.
UTMB and trail running in general is having a moment. And it's kind of in a unique position right now in which it was kind of this, I don't know, like backcountry weirdo, like outdoorsy thing. A lot of people got into trails, not necessarily from a track and field background. A lot of trail runners come at it like they were skiers and they're hikers and they discover it. And it seems like as more and more collegiate runners and marathoners move up and get into it, the professionalism of the sport is really taking off, and it's also going a little bit more corporate. I think there's a grassroots element to it for a really long time that makes it unique and special, and that spirit is still very much there. But it's now interesting to see, it's like, how does the corporate and the big shoe money come in, and what impact does that have on the commercialization? Can you maintain that wild and free outdoor spirit, knowing that at some point that the guys winning these races are going to be taking home $1 million paycheck or whatever, if it gets to that point. And so that's the challenge. And I do feel like right now the sport seems to be like in a golden era.
Yeah, there's just something incredible about like the coverage is world class. You could put that coverage up against pretty much any sport, and the difficulties that they have to navigate. They have cameras on mountainsides. They have splits for everybody. There's hundreds of people on a 100-mile course, and things are accurate. They have maps. They have updates. They have like backpack cameras. They have
Yeah.
all of this stuff, and I know it's a ton of energy, a ton of money that goes into it, but you can see like I know nothing about this thing, and I'm in awe about it. And a large part of that, and the people there, they know about it, is because of the coverage. So I don't know,
That's self-fulfilling.
chicken or egg of what sort of comes first, but we
Yeah.
complain about the coverage of track and field and how that's presented on TV. This is presented better than any track thing that's on TV.
Well, what it comes down to, and we harp on this all the time, is it's storytelling as well. Because a lot of the like high quality post production videos that come out of it, like you can get lost on YouTube watching these recaps of the various stories and the journey that the athletes went through on the way. So, I definitely something for track to walk away and take away. I think something that they're doing a really good job of is they have stars, and they're like the star power. I mean, those guys and gals can't walk anywhere, it seems, in the Swiss Alps without getting stopped for a picture and autograph. And
Mhm.
if we catered to our stars as well as the trail community did, I think we'd be in a better place.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Um, there's a lot of things to take away from that. I hope that people in power sort of look at the successor here, maybe hire some people that are in charge of this. Who knows? All right, let's move on. Aaliyah Miller joins Team Boss, signs with On.
Yeah, I think that in some ways this came out of nowhere because Aaliyah, she didn't race this summer. She, an NCAA champ last year indoors and spent 6 years in the NCAA and decided not to race at all this summer. And so, you're paying attention to everyone who's racing, and you forget that there's some studs out there that had places that they needed to land. The thing I really like about this move is I think it's a totally different environment than Baylor. Baylor is like a sprint factory, and she's from the area, originally from Dallas. She was an excellent high school runner. She ran 202, 6-7 years ago in high school, which I know now we're used to the Roisin Willis's and Julia Whitaker's, but 202 is insanely fast. And you watch her run, and I went back and I suggest others do it as well. Go back and watch her 2021 indoor NCAA 800 and tell me she does not have the potential to run 155. Like, she looks great when she runs, and she's aggressive, which, this year at NCAA Outdoors came back to bite her a little bit. She got reeled in, but in that race, NCAA's indoors, she went out in 56 high and just held it and ran away from the field. And so I think that Boss has shown their ability to develop 800 runners in Kate Grace, and you've seen Corey run well at the distance all the way up to the marathon, and Emma, and everything in between. So, yeah, I like the move. She'll get very strong.
Yeah, I love the move as well. Also, I like that On is allowing people to stay. They're not force feeding a single group. As much as I love Dathan and OIC, and I want everyone to go there because I like that team and I like Dathan. I like that On as a shoe company is allowing athletes to go to other places.
Huge respect. Yeah, like, you have options of places if you want to remain an on at, like, if you're not an athlete and you want to join, I'm sure that option is there.
Right.
But, and someone just mentioned it in the chat, that Boss now has every shoe company covered. They didn't previously have anyone with On, but they've got Asics, New Balance, Nike, Adidas, On. I mean, who don't they have? Who are they missing at this point? Brooks?
It's absolutely
That's
incredible.
it.
What they've built. Like, this is sort of the dream situation that a lot of people always talked about having. It's like, why can't we do something like this? And no one wanted to do it. Companies didn't want to do it. I would say no one was going to be the first person. No company was going to be the first company to open up their sort of money by paying a coach and allowing other athletes in there. And with Emma being as good as she was and needing training partners, and just the way the contracts worked out with, like, Aisha, Nike contract, I think, was the first athlete over there. I'm sorry if that's wrong. But signing with Puma or Under Armour at the time, and then Puma, like, it just allowed anyone to join that group. And then as success sort of, was proven to these companies, and then everyone be like, okay, I guess you can join that group instead of the one that we're paying for. I guess that's okay. But it's hard to say no when when you're looking at as much success as Joe has had with the group. It's
From
a
a
dream.
marketing perspective, you understand why a brand would maybe want everyone to go to the same coach and team, but there's the best marketing is just having your athletes run really well. And if they feel like they are able to do it somewhere else and they have a different setup that is better, like, you gotta let them fly. So, respect to all the brands that are allowing their athletes to join that group. I mean, a slightly more complicated business model from Joe's perspective, probably,
Yes.
but
But
it's
yeah,
probably
back to
nice to just have a solid. But
yeah. And back to Aaliyah, like, I think that she's going to do amazing under Joe and in that group with those training partners. And I think that her tendency to go out hard, whether she's winning or not in NCAAs, is going to bode pretty well when she's a professional because of how deep the U.S. Women's 800 is. if a thing Mo decides that she's going to go out in 56 or 57, she can do that and be fine. The entire field might not be comfortable doing that. Guess who has history doing that? It's Aaliyah. So like as she gets stronger and more experienced with this stuff, like I don't think that that's going to scare her away from going out, and with how deep that event is now, like you have to be able to do that.
She likes going out hard for a 2 flat runner, but it's not hard if you're running 156.
No. No. But still it's scary to a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right. Coop.
Moving on, Cooper Teare, the U.S. 1500-meter champion, joining the Bowerman Track Club, or as I like to say, the Bowerman Track Club is joining Cooper Teare in Eugene. I mean, I'm sure, and Mac, you can speak to this, I'm sure Coop would have preferred the team stayed in Portland and he would have gotten out of Eugene after all the years there and had a little change of scenery. But it makes so much sense for him to join this group.
Yeah, I would say that Eugene after college, but Cooper didn't, I was in Eugene I had a 5th year there. So I was a student for 5 years and then joined OTC. So I was tired of Eugene by the time I was, even a 5th year in college. So I think
get tired after 10 days.
I know I'm right there with you, bud. Yeah, but he hasn't been there that long. So I think that's okay. I think Cooper is a more put together individual than I was at that age. So he's not doing the things that I was doing. So he's not necessarily missing the college life like some others might have been. I think it's a fantastic move. The guys that he's going to be training with, best in the world. Grant Fisher is now one of his training partners. I'm just thinking of how his workouts are going to change and how much stronger he's going to get. Mo, I don't know whose contracts are up, who's staying in the group and all that stuff, who's moving down to Eugene. No one really knows what the hell's happening. But in terms of his training partners, not that, Cole was bad or anything like that, but he just has so many more guys around him that are at his ability. And I think, as we were talking about a little bit more, the magical second year.
Yeah, I mean, when people join Bowerman, their second year with the program always seems to be one of their best, and that's 2024. Like, this is a crazy, prediction, but now I think Cooper might medal in 2024 in this because of this, and I don't know if it's in the 1500 or the 5K. That's my question now, but I think he's going to thrive, especially aware of the fact that he was dealing with some injuries at points this year.
I would love if it was the 15, not just because I'm like was a 15, not past tense here. I was a 15 guy. I just think that the way that race is run now, I think that bodes really well for him. I think that he's like a rounds 15 guy, and I think that he can run 3:30 or faster in rounds.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So, now the question is, we don't know what Cole's doing.
No, we don't know what Cole's doing. I have no idea. I mean, we knew this for a while, but
Yeah.
I have no clue. I'm not even lying about this. I've got no clue what Cole's doing. I am assuming he's going to stay with Ben. I don't know what Ben's doing. Ben got kind of.
There's a lot of question marks up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing we do know is that Cole is racing again, which is my prediction is that Cole is going to win the Fifth Avenue Mile.
You think so?
He's over in Finland. He ran a low key 5K, ran 13:49 to win. Then he just ran 3:38 in Lucerne. I think he finished like 4th or 5th in the field. But I just feel like at some point this thing might click. Everyone's showing up to Fifth Ave exhausted. He's got 10 days or so. And he's going to find it in the last 50 meters.
Do you think that's going to be enough mojo to kind of move him on to? I'm so curious now that you brought that up, who he's going to be with next year, where he's going to be. And
yeah,
because so much, if he stays with Ben, it's so dependent on where Ben Thomas goes. And does Ben Thomas go to another university? Is there some sort of pro group that starts up, but everyone's sort of signed to other groups? Yeah, it's an odd situation.
It's interesting to be in Eugene and not training with the group. So I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see. But I like
yeah,
it for Uber.
yep. Same here. All right, Kyle, let's talk about it. Oh, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I
Your
decided that
marathon.
I'm going to run the New York City.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're gonna do
I
that again.
decided
Kyle, tell us, what are you doing? Yeah.
I'm going to run the New York City Marathon. Um, this has kind of been in the plans for a while. Like I think I knew when I retired that after 2 years I'd hop in. To be determined what that looks like. I would say the range of times that I'm aiming for is roughly 15 minutes wide. We're definitely busy in life, but we're finding ways to sneak in as many miles as possible. The plan is definitely one big workout midweek and then a serious long run, and we'll see what we can get. Also, my computer is dying, so I'm getting my charger really quick.
Okay. I will say,
There you go.
I will say that I love, I don't know, if you can ever hang out with Kyle and I, we have almost no respect for like, I I don't want to throw you under the bus with me.
You have way less respect for the marathon than me. I would say I have moderate levels of disrespect for it.
Yeah.
Just you know what it is? It's gone full circle because the amount of comments I've received throughout my career about my inability to like theoretically do a marathon, it is just like people forget that milers, especially like strength milers, I was running 100 miles a week. Like I've done plenty of 2 hour. I've run dozens and dozens of 2 hour plus long runs in my life. And so Chris once asked me if he thought I could, this is like a true story is, and it's super insulting. Chris like legitimately asked me if I could break 70 for a half marathon in the middle of like my professional running career. And I was like, of course I can. Of course I can break it, Chris. Like just because you can run a mile fast doesn't mean you suddenly like can't do the other stuff. And so I feel like we've swayed to the extreme in terms of like, well, if you don't respect the milers and we don't respect you.
Mhm. Which is fair. I get that. And I would expect nothing less. I I don't think that you're gonna, if you have enough time and like you work like 15 jobs and you have a baby and everything like that. I think if you can find 5 or 6 weeks of semi-serious training, I think you can run under 220. Um,
Yeah. New
and
York though is a tough element.
yeah, but I think you'll get up for it. And I will say what's tough when you're retired is pushing yourself to hurt again. You sort of find yourself, I think you share the same thing as I do. You get moderately fit and then you're doing these workouts and then you're like, well, I don't actually have to do this. I don't have to hurt this
Yeah.
much. I can just slow down or make the interval shorter and have more fun. And that's just like, if you can kind of get a little bit past that in between now and then.
Yeah, I will say that, coming out and announcing that I was going to do it and seeing the amount of support and then also some like less than flattering predictions by certain people, my motivation rose quite a bit yesterday because of that. And so now I might run an extra 5-10 miles a week throughout this block just because of that. But I think yesterday I ran 3 by 3 mile going averaging 5:13 pace. And like it's the end of August at the time and it's hot in New York but I felt good and I would say that was 4 or 5 weeks of fitness ahead of schedule in my opinion. So now it's like, well, how quickly is this all going to click and come back? I have no idea.
Do you have a half or anything that you're planning on doing before?
I am going to run I'm going to run a marathon before it.
Okay.
A buddy of mine is trying to run 240 at a different race, and I might hop in and just pace him as like a long run. And
Okay.
so that might be my tune up.
Eh. I remember, this is sort of, yeah, whatever. We'll get to that. I will say, when Shalane Flanagan ran that 10K at Stanford before she ran, like, I don't know what, it was one of her best marathons that she ran. I was like, why the hell is she running so hard like 3 weeks before this marathon? And I feel like everyone has trended that way. Marathoners now run really hard inside of the month. And that's the only
Yeah.
reason why I'm asking if you're ready to have like a hard effort to test yourself to see like, okay, yeah, I can actually like bury myself a bit and I'm comfortable burying myself. Because you've been like,
Yeah.
let's be honest, you haven't done that since you've retired.
No, I stay in the comfy zone for sure. So that'll be something to consider. I've got a number of advisors helping me. So
Add one.
we can,
Yeah.
had one more, another guy who's never done a marathon.
Yes.
So yeah, but the big thing is it's fun. I want to walk away just having a positive experience. Like my plan is definitely to negative split aggressively and to walk away saying I could have run a minute or two faster had I, you know, been more upfront, pushing the pace early on. And I want to turn around and say, let's do it again. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the goal. And it's New York. Like it's fun as hell.
That's is there at any point, this is going to throw you off, is there at any point it's worth shitting yourself in the race for? Like you're about to run 2:15, there's 100 meters left.
Oh, I'd shit myself 100%.
Would you?
You kidding
I have
me?
strict rules. I never like Olympic team or Olympic medal on the line, and you'd have to get me to all the way to like 5 meters left, maybe not even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, we're just trying to have fun here, but
this is a
if
real
it's
possibility.
2:15,
You're
like
running a
that's,
marathon.
I don't think running 2:15 is a real possibility here. So
All
anything
right,
north of 2:20, I'll stop for the bathroom.
all right, all right. Sorry about that. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm definitely going to be there. Boston was earlier this year was my first major I've ever been to, and I get it now.
New York's
So
a little better.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll be there, and then I'm sure if my foot is better, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say that. I might not be too far behind you. I
All
got a little
right.
bit of an itch now. So let's finish this up. What sort of extras do we have?
Um, you know, I do want to just call out Hobbs Kessler. We don't know what's happening in Europe ever. It's all these random pop-up meets. There's a million things going on, but Hobbs, still only 19, just ran 146 for an 800 in a random race in the British Milers Club, double back to win the mile in 3:58. So I thought that was a cool thing that probably a lot of people didn't see. And then Taryn Rawlings broke 2 minutes, ran 1:59. I think she ran the race with a bunch of guys, which I don't know how the record books feel about that, but pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
Today,
Teare, let's.
what? Wait. Oh, I was going to say, oh yeah, Sha'Carri winning, but also today. Sorry to interrupt you. Sha'Carri winning.
What
Go
was
for it.
today? Sha'Carri beat Elaine Thompson-Herah in 100. Granted, it was into like a massive headwind in the rain, and the time wasn't very fast. But head to head, beating the reigning Olympic champion, no joke. And curious to see if that's a big turning point or not.
I think she's going to be fit next year. I think this year was a bit of a wash. No one ever knows with like injuries, and then you have contract obligations to show up and race, even if you're not fit. So, and it's just a whole whirlwind, especially for, top tier athletes like her. I think she's going to show up next year. I think next year it's going to be so loud, and I think the more time that goes on that she gets used to this sort of like polarization that she has, especially online, I think she's going to be able to kind of block that out more and more, and it's just not going to matter, and she's going to be showing up and competing. But yeah, crazy to see. I mean, everyone had to deal with the rain, everyone had to deal with the headwind. They weren't flipping the track, so
We
they
got to
got
flip
it.
the track more often.
Yeah. But also today, Paul Ryan, 352 mile at where?
And the Monmouth Mile down in Jersey State record. We saw him at Falmouth, and Falmouth, it was hot. It was, it was beaten down. And I was telling you tonight in the Northeast, the conditions were actually prime for a mile. It was pretty nice out for my evening double, which I now do. And he ran 3:52, and I had said it a week ago that he's had a great year in terms of first year pro. Like, you don't know who's going to transition well out of college. And he's ran personal best at, I think, the 8:15 mile, 3K and 5K now. And now getting down to 3:52, that's quite fast for a community mile on a Thursday night. So we saw him run fast at Falmouth, and now we saw him run even faster.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. We are going to do some shoe giveaways. I'll go through that real quick. So, I convinced our accountants, Chris. I mean, we do everything. So I convinced Kyle and Chris to give away some shoes to our YouTube subs. So I think every 1,000 subs that we gain, we're going to give away pairs of shoes to our YouTube subs. This time around, I'm going to pick some people that were in the chat. I will reach out to you. I'll find out. What's up?
The ones who are interacting.
Yeah, I'll pick some people that were in the chat today. I'm going to find out where what local running store you use, or one that's near you, and then we'll buy gift cards from the local running store. Kind of a feel-good thing. The YouTube subs are how we sort of that's our whole goal. Grow the YouTube channel, have this community of track fans that, we can talk about track and sort of dissect it and be fans of the sport, not try to tear everything down. That's where we're trying to go with this. So we want to kind of give back a little bit, buy you guys some shoes, and support your local community running stores.
And, because we love the chat, I should answer the question. Someone asked if I've been using Morton. I took a gel the other day for the first time, but I did it while stopped, just in the middle, not during a jog rest. And I do think that is going to be quite the learning curve, is the nutrition. But I personally don't think you should be allowed to eat or drink during a marathon. I think that would be a better rule.
Is that your hot take?
That's my new hot take. I think drinking water during a marathon is cheating.
I love it. I was going to say, you don't do anything for free, so I'm surprised you're even taking Martin stuff.
No, I wasn't.
Give you a sponsorship.
It wasn't Morton. It was someone else who will remain nameless.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you're grabbing bottles of during the marathon. We'll see if you're actually a true believer of your theories of no one should have any nutrition.
But if everyone else is doing it, it's like super juice. If everyone's wearing them, it's not cheating.
Of course.
Everyone's drinking water.
You want to sign us out? Do we have anything else? Did we miss anything?
Sign up at thelapcount.com. Find out what happened next week. Tomorrow we also have a race, which I guess, to those in the chat who are watching this before, we got Brussels Diamond League tomorrow. Brussels. I think it starts at noon. No, it starts at 2:00.
I saw start list somewhere. Shikari's also running again.
Last opportunity to get some points to get into the final. So Brussels, 2 p.m. Peacock. Should be good.
All right. Do you know anyone that's running or anything that you're excited about?
No, nothing.
No?
Nothing at all. Actually, we said that we would maybe discuss this. I loved in the press conference, Shelly Ann and Mondo back and forth about whether or not who would win in 100. Mondo was insulted that it was even a conversation. He was like, "Of course I'd win."
I think if he can, I don't know. This is one of those hard things. Does he have a chance even out of the blocks? Like if they have to do a traditional reaction to a gun, he's done over the first 40 meters. He's gonna false start out of this theoretical race.
So he ran 10.57 before in 2008. Granted, it was a plus 2.1 headwind or tailwind. So
this is a good race.
But 10.57 4 years ago, and he made it sound like he's faster now.
This is a good race, actually.
What are you talking about? He's like, of course I'd run. I mean, 10.57, if he goes 10.4, then it's not a good race.
No, but what if Shelly's running 10.5?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it.
I mean, Shelly Ann, I know she didn't race last week, but like she called her shot. She's ready to run 10.5. She's like talked about it 2 weeks in a row of running 10.5. It's gonna happen. Um,
Yeah.
I I really 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 hope that this. Hey, screw this. The hurdler Rye versus um, what was the 200-meter hurdle race that
Yeah, yeah. Grant and Rye. Yeah,
yeah,
so
Grant Holloway
Rabbit,
and screw that. I
I
want to
think
see this Mondo and
we need more
Shelly.
crossovers between, gender and events. Like, let's see, like Yomar Rojas take on Ryan Krauser and something.
Yes, it would be fantastic. And I like your idea of putting Ryan Krauser at like 75 meters. I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's a good, you know, sort of length for him.
Wow, I didn't
Uh,
think we would save the sport on a Thursday night, but here we are.
no, but
All
here we
right.
are. All right,
Cue the music.
cue the
Let
music.
that music rock.
All right, so
Thanks for
are
joining
we out?
us. We are out.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, I think next week we'll be in New York. I'll be couching it on Chris's couch, and we'll be live from there. So, all right,
Cool.
we will see you guys next week. We'll be in New York for Fifth Ave, doing a bunch of stuff with New Balance and the race itself. So be ready for a bunch of live stuff on YouTube. It should be pretty exciting. We'll have a bunch of athletes with us. Bunch of stuff like we had at Worlds and the stuff we've been doing all year. So it should be exciting. We're excited for it. We'll see you guys in a week.